we're getting into the Galar tier list here today. Going through, we have a normal tier list as always. We're using all these tiers today. That's the plan. Use every single tier we've got on here. At the top, we have God tier, followed by S, A, B, C, D, F, and disgusting. I can promise you, God tier will be used. There is one Pokemon that stands above the rest in this region, and I can promise you, disgusting tier will be used. There is a Pokemon that most definitely deserves to be down there in this region here today. So without further ado, let's get on into this tier list right here. I will note, on here, they have the Gigantamax forms. I'm not going to rank those. I just because they're like completely separate things, I want to rank them as the Pokemon themselves. Maybe we go back and do another tier list where we do that like we did the Megas. For instance, when we did the Gen 6 tier list, the Megas were on there. We didn't rank the Megas. We just left them. Then we went back and did a Mega tier list at a later date. So maybe next Thursday we do the Gigantamax forms or something like that. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to wait and see for that. And to all those tuning in, I see you guys in there. Spectral, thank you for tuning in. 108X, thank you for taking the time to tune in. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. God tier is, of course, Gigantamax Eternatus. Funny you say that. We'll get to that we'll get to that soon enough in here. Eternatus is down there towards the bottom. We'll get to that guy. Don't you worry. Eternatus will be ranked in this tier list here today. But like I said, let's get on into the tier list right here, shall we? Starting off, we have Grookey, Thwackey, and Rillaboom. Now, when I first saw Galar, these were my favorite starters. Whenever the starters first come out, I always have one that I've noticed I've always like drawn towards almost naturally. Like this one's like just the one I just simply like the most. For instance, no doubt about it, it was Rowlet with Gen 7. No doubt about it, it was, well, I will note Quaxley for Gen 9, but things have changed since then. But the most, for what I'm getting at is, normally when I see starters for the first time, there's always one that stands out to me that I just simply like better than the rest. And for Sword and Shield, it was most definitely Grookey, Thwackey, and Rillaboom. I thought that was the best one at first. But then by the time it came around for me to play the game, I picked Inteleon as my starter. And then since seeing the Pokemon in the anime and seeing the cards, and then also using them in other games such as Unite, Cinderace has become one of my favorites as well. All of the starters here, I like. And the thing is, I've changed who's my favorite starter from this region over time. I will note, Inteleon's got the best shiny. Cinderace is, I think, I like using it the most in Pokemon Unite. And then Rillaboom is honestly fun to use in just normal actually, they're all fun to use in normal battling. All these starters are good, if we're being honest. All of these starters are really, really good. And I think the thing is, people didn't appreciate these starters as much when we had them. When Gen 8 was out, people kind of hate on the starters because that's how things always are. Then we see the Gen 9 starters and we're like, oh my gosh, we didn't realize how great we had it with that previous gen. These starters absolutely suck. Now you might be thinking, well, you're just going to say the same thing when Gen 10 comes out. I'm praying I don't, because I really do not like the starters from Gen 9 that much. But the starters from Gen 8, I like them all. I really like them all. Thwackey, I'm going to put up there in B tier. I'm going to put Drizzle down in D tier. We're just going to do all the starters together because I like doing all these starters at one. Drizzle down D tier. Drizzle sucks. It's really weird. Thwackey's fine. I think that's a good spot for it in B. Grookey, I'll put in A. I don't know if there's any, like Sobble, should Sobble be an S tier starter? Is Sobble an S tier starter? I like Sobble. Rabbitoot, or Scorbunny, sorry, I always mix the names up. Scorbunny, you think they're S tier Pokemon? I don't know. They might be. You know who is S tier? I don't care what anyone says. Rabbitoot is S tier. Rabbitoot's top of S tier right now. The best version of any of the starters we got from Sword and Shield. My boy, Rabbitoot. I love him. He's awesome. And then now we have Rillaboom, Cinderace, and Inteleon. Now, out of them, I'm going to put them all in S tier. I think they're all good starters. I think they're all very, very good starters. I don't think anyone can really knock that. They're all good starters. Like, again, especially looking back on them now, since we have gotten Gen 9, like, it makes them look that much better. Actually, do I put them S tier? You know what? Let's put in I don't know. People are going to be mad no matter what. People are going to be mad no matter what, how I put this. This is my tier list. I'm not necessarily doing this. Oh, this is like the common consensus of Pokemon fans. No. This is the Playas tier list. People hate and get mad at these all the time. People get pissed, actually, with how I rank this stuff in the tier list. But I'm going to put Inteleon at the top of S tier right now for this start. I'm going to put, you know what? I might do this. I might put them in A tier. Let's put those two in A tier for now. I will put Rillaboom below Cinderace. Let's do that for now. Let's do that for now just to fill it out. Again, it is always weird ranking the starters at the very beginning because there's absolutely nothing else on the list, but I think that's a good spot for now. One other detail I want to add in that I really like about these starters is they're all based on, like, significant stuff from, like, UK English. It's Galar's based on London, like London culture, that type of stuff. For instance, Inteleon's James Bond, the spy and that type of stuff. Cinderace is a soccer player, obviously Premier League and all that stuff over there. And then you have Rillaboom, like rock and roll drums and all that stuff based on, or that which came from, like, rock and roll was really big over there. Like, I think that's so cool. Shout out to you guys. You guys told me about that actually in the chat one time. I think that's so cool how they tie that into, like, honestly, three of the biggest cultural aspects of, like, London and, like, that, if when you think of that, like, the things about that, like, that, I think that's so cool. I think that's so cool how they did that. Again, we have the Gigantamax forms down here. We are not going to rank those. I'm just going to leave those. We'll maybe do those in a separate tier list. But next we have, we're getting into a fatty already. Next, we're getting into a fatty. Squovit Ingredient. Now, if I'm being honest, these Pokemon, I really got nothing against them. I have nothing really. I'm just like, it's a dumb squirrel Pokemon. Who cares? Then it was released in Pokemon Unite. This thing in Pokemon Unite terrorized me for so much. I'm like, why is it? It like slides around, does that stupid move. It eats the berries. You can't kill it. I always go jungle with Decidueye. Then this thing comes to the jungle and takes my stuff and kills me at the start. I'm like, oh my god, I hate this thing. It's going down there in D tier. And also too, that big fatso eats those the things you're doing in that when you're trying to get the shiny Munchlax in Kitakami in that what's it called, Ogre Oats or whatever the game is called. That fatso comes up and ruins you from trying to get a shiny Munchlax. So it's down there in D tier. It's not F tier. It's not F tier. It's not disgusting tier by any means, but we'll put it in D tier. It's a fine design. I think what they were going for, again, this is kind of like Bruxish. People say, oh, Bruxish is the worst designed Pokemon. That thing sucks. But it's like, I look at Bruxish as like, they weren't trying to design a cool Pokemon. They were trying to design an ugly looking Pokemon. They were trying to make Squovit Ingredient look like some big fat squirrel, and they nailed it right there. The only reason I'm putting it so low is because I hate that thing in Pokemon Unite. And I forgot about that. When we do these tier lists, the Pokemon Unite bias is heavy. If I like a Pokemon Unite, it's going up there. If I don't like a Pokemon Unite, it's getting thrown down to the bottom. But next up, we have Rookidee, Corvisquire, and Corviknight. I got all of those names right, correct? Sorry, I gotta pull up the Galar tier list next to me, so I make sure I don't butcher any of the names here with this tier list to make sure I get them absolutely wrong. Who cares about the pronunciation? As long as I get the right idea. Rookidee, Corvisquire, Corviknight. There we go. And if I'm being honest, the next evolution line is the one I need it for. But here we go. These three right here. I mean, let's do. I'm gonna put Corviknight. We're gonna put Corviknight last. Let's put Corvisquire and Rookidee. I think these are both A tier B tier, A tier. You know what? I'll put them A tier. I think they're cool birds. Like, normally the very beginning birds like that, there isn't much to them. Like, they added a bunch of detail to these. I like these. But Corviknight, don't worry, guys. Corviknight ain't going down there in disgusting tier. Corviknight's actually going to the top of S tier right now as being just one of the coolest Pokemon we saw from this region as a whole. Corviknight legit might be the best regional bird we have as well. I think back to the regional birds. You have, like, the ones that stand out, there's two to me, Staraptor and Talonflame, and I throw Corviknight right out there with those two, right up there at the very top. Corviknight, it's a giant metal bird. It's so menacing and awesome looking, like elite Pokemon right there. Deserves to be at the top of S tier for the tier list we have right now. Then we have this thing. I literally need the decks here to make sure I get the names right. Blipbug, Dottler, Orbeetle. Now, I literally remember the first time I saw all of these Pokemon. The first time I saw Orbeetle, I was at Target, and I was shocked. I'm like, why does Target have... All of a sudden, they were fully stocked with Pokemon boxes. Like, normally, I just mentioned at the start of the stream, normally, during that time, the Sword and Shield era, there is no Pokemon cards anywhere, because they were literally sold out nationwide for a little bit there during Sword and Shield. And then I pull up to Target, and there is just an endless supply, seemingly, of Orbeetle V-Boxes. That was the first time I had legit ever seen Orbeetle. Then you go to Blipbug. We were playing the DLC, the first part of the DLC in Sword and Shield on stream. I was playing, it was the part over by Mustard, and it's not the Crown Tundra, it's the other one, the Isle of Armor. We were over there, and in the grass, outside of, like, I believe it was the grass just outside of the dojo, I encountered a Blipbug, and I'm like, did I just discover a new Pokemon? I had legit never seen that thing before. I had no idea what his name was either. And then Dottler. Now, the reason why I know Dottler and Blipbug, or I have come to know them, is because nobody else really knows them. So when I do PokeMMO, I always love to pick these two because, again, nobody knows them and nobody picks these things for anything. If I'm being honest, though, they are pretty cool designs. Like, Orbeetle, like, design-wise, I'll put Orbeetle in A. I think Orbeetle's cool. I think it's a cool design. Dottler we'll put at the bottom of B. And then Blipbug, I'm not going to lie, that thing's kind of ugly. I'll put it in C tier. Nah, Blipbug, you're mad ugly, actually. You're going down in D tier. We'll put it down in D tier. I think that's a good spot for it right there. Again, I mean, Orbeetle's cool. It's like some alien beetle thing. I think that's a good spot for it. I think that's a good spot we got it for right there. Then we have Nickit and Thievul. Now, these are just like I don't really like these. Some people. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to put them in C tier. Again, why is it reloading? Oh, it saved. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, sorry. My bad. Got a little mad there. With C tier is average. C tier is the average spot for this list. D tier's below average, F tier's bad, B tier's above average, A tier's good, S tier is really good, and God tier is the best. So remember, C tier is average. It is average. These are just basic beginning Pokemon. Like, I got no reason to like them, but at the same time, I have no reason to dislike them. So I'm putting them in C tier. Now, is there going to be someone that, Thievul's my favorite Pokemon. I hate you for putting it there. Yes, probably, but hey, I'm putting it there. Next, we have Gossifleur and Eldegoss. Now, Gossifleur, I mean, you know what? These guys have helped, they've helped me a bunch in Unite. I will note that. These guys have helped a bunch in Unite. I'll put them in A or B tier. It's slightly above average. It's a cool design. I like the plant-based idea and all that stuff. I think they're cool. I'll put them right there. I like the first gym. This is the guy's main Pokemon. I don't remember his name. I apologize. The grass guy, like the grass farmer planter guy. He has the green outfit. He's got his forearms are massive, by the way. I got to ask him what he does for forearms. Then he's got the big hat as well. I think that's cool, and that whole theme with him is cool. So I'll put them in B2. I think that's a good spot. For him. Joe Chapters, thank you for taking time to tune in. I appreciate it. Jackaroo, thank you for tuning in as well. Now Rillaboom in A tier, not S. No, Rillaboom is in A. We have Rillaboom in A tier. Moving on now, we have, Wooloo. I almost forgot Wooloo's name. I had to check the decks right here for Wooloo. Wooloo was like, if I'm not mistaken, the same thing that Lechonk was before Scarlet and Violet. Like, we saw Wooloo, and everyone was hyped up and loved Wooloo, kind of the same way everyone liked Lechonk. Now, I will note, my boy Lechonk, I put above Wooloo, because that name, Lechonk, there isn't other Pokemon names quite like that one. There's nothing like that name right there. So, I will note, in terms of, like, that kind of fan favorite Pokemon before the game's even out, Wooloo is second to Lechonk for me, but as a Pokemon on its own, I do like Wooloo. I think it's cool. I believe there's a lot of sheep and stuff out there as well. So that's why people have, that's why they pick this as a Pokemon to do. And I like also, you know what? I like Dubwool. Now, you know what? Dubwool's going in A tier, and I have a reason for Dubwool going in A tier. Dubwool is going in A tier for me because the day Champions Path released, I drove around all day looking for Champions Path products and couldn't find anything. We even ended up going to a Barnes & Noble because I saw a post on Reddit. I don't go on Reddit, but I was Googling just, are these things even out yet or have other people found them? And I found a link to a Reddit page of people saying if you haven't found Champions Path yet, go to your local Barnes & Noble. They had stuff in stock for me. So we go to a Barnes & Noble. We end up finding 2 Champions Path ETBs. We're super hyped up and excited. And on the way back, we decided to stop at a Walmart that I had been stopping at all day and didn't find anything. We stopped at the Walmart. They had been stocked while we were at Barnes & Noble with Champions Path, so we missed it, but there was one Dubwool V-Box waiting there on the bottom of the shelf at the very end that I bought on that day. So that we were hyped with the 2 ETBs. That put it over the top, though, finding that Dubwool V-Box. That was such a good day. I came home. We had Little Caesars pizza for dinner. We had PokeRev on the TV, watching him open Champions Path live. Dude, that was just such a good day. And Dubwool helped make that day amazing. So it'll go up in A tier there for me because of that. Next, we have Choodle and Dreadnought. Now, these guys right here, I feel like Choodle's going to be one that a lot of people like. Here's one thing, if I'm being honest, that I don't really know about Galar. I feel like for most gens of Pokemon, I got a good idea of, like, the common consensus of, like, what Pokemon fans like and don't like for the region. If I'm being honest, for Galar, like, I don't really know what Galar Pokemon people love and don't love, if that makes sense. Because you think about it during Galar, like the TCG, I mean, I will note this, during the TCG, like, the Galar Pokemon weren't necessarily my big draw to it. My big draw to it were, like, all the cool cards they're making of other Pokemon. And then you look at Dreadnought as well. Like, Dreadnought was in Champion's Path, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It was in the anime early on. It was in Pokemon Unite as one of the bosses you battled. But, like, in the anime overall, like, it did have that one scene. But, like, the anime, too, is, like, it was about everything. It wasn't just about Galar, so you didn't really see just the Galar Pokemon too much. So I'm kind of like thrown off with how everyone else likes it. So again, this is the most raw and authentic tier list we're honestly getting, with me just doing it literally based on just what I know about these Pokemon and how I like them. And Choodle and Dreadnought, like I mentioned, we had them early on in the anime, and I thought it was pretty cool how we saw them. Team Rocket battling with the Dreadnought outside the stadium and all that stuff. I got a shiny Choodle, just so happened to find one when we were shiny hunting for Barboach, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they're cool Pokemon. It's a turtle. I like turtles. I'm going to put them both in A tier. I'm going to put Dreadnought, I'm going to put it above Grookey, below Rillaboom. And Choodle, I'm going to put... Actually, let's change it up a bit. Let's put Orbeetle there. And Choodle, I'll put above... Nah, I do like Choodle shiny, and we did get it shiny. So I'm going to put it above Orbeetle, below Dubwool. I think that's a good spot for it. Both A tier for Choodle and Dreadnought. I think that's a good solid spot for him. Now, we have these two. Now, Yamper and Bolthound. Like, I don't know. See, this is one, like, I don't like them. I'm not a big fan of them. We had Yamper in the anime, and I thought it was funny in the anime. Bolthound, I'm going to put C tier. Yamper, I'll put... I do like Yamper more than that thing, Wooloo. And do I like Yamper more than Gossifleur and Eldegoss, though? You want Yamper's a dog. Yamper's a good little guy. Let's put Yamper at the top of B tier. Do I put it above Thwackey? Nah, let's put it below Thwackey. Let's put Yamper below Thwackey, towards the top of B tier. Solid spot for our boy Yamper right there. Now we have Roly-Poly, Charcoal, and Colossal. Now, these ones right here, I think it's like they were in those like mines and that type of stuff, and I thought that was really cool. Besides that, I mean, I don't care. I don't really like these Pokemon that much. This one specifically, this one's my least favorite one. Carcoal, it's just a cart with coal in it. Like, come on. It's not, I don't really like that thing too much at all. And you know what's kind of funny? People complain so much, like, oh, I like the older Pokemon designs. And you look back to the old, like, Gen 1, for instance, literally, it's just like, they just slapped eyes on something and called it a day for a lot of Pokemon in Gen 1. And then you look at this thing, and it's literally a cart full of coal with eyes on it. Look, they literally slapped eyes on it and called it a day. I will note, though, Roly-Poly I will put up in B tier. I do like it because it kind of reminds me of Tynmo in a weird way, because, think Tynmo was in Chargestone Cave. That was the electric thing. Now we have Roly-Poly. It's in, like, the mining cave, and it looks kind of similar to it, so I'll put it right there. I think that's a good spot for it. And then we have Colossal. Now, I don't know about Colossal, man. I'll put it in B tier. I'll put it B tier. I'll put it up there below Eldegoss in B tier. I think the idea is cool, and everything about it seems like it should be a really cool Pokemon. But I think maybe it's because it's too early on in the game or something like that. It's kind of like those early. It's kind of like thrown in the category of like those early game Pokemon. They aren't like too cracked and crazy and that type of stuff. So maybe that's why I have it there. And that's a good question too. Like, do you think if Colossal was like a Victory Road type Pokemon, would it be viewed differently than it's viewed now? Because now it's just like early. It's just before the Fire Gym, if I'm not mistaken. It's early on in the game. I think that's very interesting. But now, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it. We'll put in B tier. I think that's a good spot for it right there. Then we have our boys Applin, Flapple, and Appleton. Now, Applin, I like. I like Applin. Applin will go up in A tier. Gladly put that thing up in A tier, no question about it. It's an apple with eyes. Who can't go wrong with that thing right there. But then the other two. Now, when I first saw these two Pokemon, I was like, oh, they're dragons. That's really cool. That's awesome. We got two dragon types right there. Grass dragons as well. I'm like, that's so sick. These are going to be awesome. And then I saw them. Flapple's an apple core. And Appleton's a big fat apple pie. Now, do I like eating apples in real life? Yes. So when I'm done eating the apples, they look like Flapple. Do I like apple pies? Oh, yes, I do. I love apple pies. Do I want my favorite food and the remains of the food after I eat it to be Pokemon? No, not at all. This might be I might put him in F tier. Should I put him in F tier? I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put him in F tier. This might be a hot take. I'm putting him in F tier. Some people might love these things. I will note, I don't think they're on, because they are technically DLC of Gen 9, right? Dipplin and Hydrapple. If Dipplin and Hydrapple were here, Hydrapple would be at the top of S tier right now. Just want to make that clear if it was in here. Hydrapple would be at the very top of S tier right now. But these two are just awful. I don't like them whatsoever. Some people might like them. For me, no. Honestly, if they weren't Dragon type, I probably would like them more. But like, I view Dragon types as up here off the screen, and like, these were just disappointments for me, if I'm being completely honest. Next, we have Silicobra and Sandaconda. Now, here's the one thing with these. I wish they were bigger. That probably sounds weird, but I wish Silicobra and Sandaconda were bigger. I look at Sandaconda, and you look at anacondas in real life. Have you guys seen an anaconda in real life? Them suckers are huge. They are massive. And this thing, like, it looks massive in the image, but then when I started seeing in the art, there's one card in particular. They're in the, what set was it? Towards the beginning of Sword and Shield, when they first started doing the alt arts, there's a alt art Sandaconda, and Sandaconda's like this big, maybe. Sandaconda should be this, but it's like this. It's not that big whatsoever. And then in Scarlet and Violet, you go in that desert area, over by where Moltres spawns and that type of stuff, and it's just like this big again. It's like not big whatsoever. If Sandaconda was big, it would be easy A tier, S tier Pokemon for me. But because it's not that big, I'm going to put it down in B tier. I'll put it above Eldegoss and Colossal. And then the other one, Silicobra, I'll put it at the bottom of B tier for now. Again, if they were bigger, I would definitely put them much higher. But like, they're not that big. Shout out to the Florida man looking for the 20-foot Anaconda. Dude. I see that guy all the time. He's the one, he calls them like the gators, like swamp puppies and that type of stuff. And he's the one that always goes yoink. That guy, like, dude, that guy's insane. I would love to do something like that. There's no way. I'd be too scared. There's no way. I'm not scared of much. But going down to the Florida Everglades at night, barefooted with a million things that can kill you all around that you can't see, and then he's out there looking for those things and grabbing them barehanded. That dude is wild. I've always loved watching stuff like that, man. Like, I remember watching Zaboomafoo, Wild Kratts, Steve Irwin, Coyote Peterson, all that stuff. Like, I love watching. Maybe that's why I like Pokemon so much. I've always loved watching all those, like, animal shows and that type of stuff. That guy, every time I see that guy on TikTok, he's one of the few people I see on TikTok where no matter what, I never skip the video, and I always watch the video all the way. He's so awesome. But yeah, Sandaconda should look like what that guy's looking for down in the Florida Everglades. If that was the case, Sandaconda would probably honestly be a S tier Pokemon for me, but it's just simply not. And next up, we have the Cramorant. You always see this thing choking on the fish going, ah, ah, ah. It's just, I mean, it's based on some sort of bird that dives down and gets the fish and stuff, so that concept's cool. I'm not gonna lie, Cramorant was one of the first Pokemon they added in Unite, and I've always liked it a little bit more because of that as well. Because I'm like, Pokemon Unite, this big crazy game, they're just gonna add powerhouse Pokemon. Charizard, Snorlax, Gengar, Cramorant. I'm like, you know what? Cramorant, I respect you because of that. So Cramorant right there, let's put it up in A tier. I'll put my boy Cramorant up there in, let's put it below Corvisquire right there. I will. Nah, you know what? Shout out Cramorant. Let's put him above. Yeah, you know what? Above Grookey as well. Let's put Cramorant up there in the top of A tier. Then we have Barraskewda and Arrokuda. Now, Barracudas are crazy animals. I remember them suckers in Nemo. That's what started the whole story. So, you know what? Because of that, I should hate these things. But there's one reason as to why I like these things. Barraskewda is one of the fastest Pokemon there is. And I love fast Pokemon. If I can attack first, I'm happy with that. I don't care if you one-tap me afterwards. If I'm going first, I'll be happy. So, I literally just like it because it's fast. That's the only reason because of it. Aracuda, I will note, I'm going to put you at the bottom of B. Why are you going at the bottom of B? Because I always would think you were something else. I remember we were doing a shiny hunt. I don't remember which shiny hunt it was. And also, too, during Palafin shiny hunt, I kept running into them because you couldn't see them. So I'm putting you down there in the bottom of B tier because of that. And then Barrascuda, I'll put you in A tier. I think you're a solid Pokemon. And honestly, as we're going through this tier list, I'll put it at the bottom of A tier. As we're going through this tier list, I'm kind of realizing I like Galar Pokemon a lot more than I originally thought, if I'm being completely honest. There's a lot more good ones on here than there are bad ones, but don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into some bad ones later on. I can promise you that. Next, we have these things. This thing's disgusting. I hate how this thing looks. Toxel, no, Toxel's a D tier for me. People love the baby Pokemon, that type of stuff. I just don't like how Toxel looks. On the other hand, Toxtricity. Now, there are the two different versions of it on the tier list right here. Oh, no, we do have both versions of it. I'm going to put them side by side. This one right here, the blue one, reminds me of Dabby or Dabby, however you say the name, from My Hero Academia, but I'm putting them in S tier. I'm not going to put them above Corviknight. I'm going to put them below Corviknight, but I am going to put them above Inteleon. Again, like the rock and roll type theme Pokemon, kind of like how I was getting out with Rillaboom earlier. I think that's really cool. And just like, look at these things, man. They're poison electric types, really cool typing as well. I just almost wish they were better. Like, I wish they were stronger. Because, like, I would love to use these things. Like, we're playing Showdown a bunch right now. I would love to just battle nonstop with these things in Showdown. And I played, if I'm being honest, the era I played Showdown the most of, like, it being, like, the main era at the time, or the main format, I should say, at the time, was Gen 8 OU. I played Gen 7 OU more than anything else. But, like, I played Gen 7 OU after the fact, like during Gen 8 and all that, and even up to this day, I play Gen 7 OU. Gen 7 OU is where I've spent the most time playing, although Gen 8 OU is where I spent the most time, like, as it was new, and I don't know, I just could never get it to work. I tried multiple times. Boom Burst is crazy on that thing. Like, it has stuff like that that's good, but, like, I personally could never get it to work for me myself. Like, I'll tell you guys my team. So, I made a Galar Demon team. This thing was insane. It was Inteleon. I had an Elemental Lax. That's one of the first times I really used the Elemental Lax, actually, as well. Inteleon, the Elemental Lax, the Leek Lord. It was Duraludon, Dragapult, and then Galarian Zapdos. And instead of Galarian Zapdos at first, because that came on the DLC, I would use Galarian Slowking on that team. And those Pokemon I all love because they were on the team. And I tried to use Toxtricity on the team, but I could just never figure it out. So Toxtricity is, it would honestly had the potential to be God tier for me if it was cracked, but it's up in S tier for me right now, just based on looks alone. It looks awesome. Next, we have Sizzlipede and Centiskorch. Now, these things are cool. They were in the set Darkness Ablaze, I remember, at the start of Sword and Shield with the Charizards and that type of stuff. And I told you guys, it's funny how, like, cyclical is the right word to use for cycle stuff, right? It's funny how similar that stuff is in the TCG. Because you look at the start of X and Y, what's one of the first sets we got? Fire Blaze, or Wild Blaze is the Japanese version of it. Flash Fire is the English version of it. And what's the theme around that? Mega Charizard. Then we have, at the start of Sword and Shield, we have Darkness Ablaze. What's the theme around that? Is another fire set based around Gigantamax Charizard. Then the start of Scarlet and Violet. What's one of the early ones we have? Obsidian Flames. What's that one based around? Terra Charizard. Like, all this, just the cycles with all that stuff. And I can't complain. I love that stuff. You guys know I love Charizard, so I'm not complaining about it whatsoever. But this guy was in that set with Charizard and Darkness Ablaze, and it's kind of overshadowed. I remember, I think I pulled the Rainbow Rare of it. I pulled some good cards of it, and I don't know. I was never that big of a fan of it. I'll put it in A tier. I think it's a fine design. I like the X for like the fire is like the mustache type stuff. I don't think the X is what they were going for, but like I think it reminds me of an X, and I think it's cool because of that. So I'll put it right there. Then Sizzlipede, I'll put down in C tier. Like it's kind of dumb. Like, look, it's like Centiskorch has the fire coming out of it. Sizzlipede's just got nothing. And next up, we have Clobbopus in Grapplock. Sorry, I had to check Clobbopus's name. I had absolutely no idea what that thing was called. But if I'm being honest, I really like it. Easy S tier for Clobbopus right there. That thing will go up. You know what? Let's put it up a bit higher, actually. Let's put it up. Do I like it above better than Applin? You know what? Let's change it up, actually, a bit. I do like it better than Applin and Choodle and Grookey. You know what? Let's put those guys up there. Let's put them all the way up there. Let's throw them up there on the list a bit higher. And then Grappalock. Dude, I love Grappalock. The fighting gym leader, Bay, however you say her name, beat the piss out of Ash and his Riolu with this thing. And then the shiny of it is awesome as well. When Shining Fates first came out, they had all the Galar Pokemon as shinies, not as the full art shinies, as the normal shiny cards. This was one of the first ones I bought. I thought it was so cool, I had to get it right away. It's like a red and white shiny. It looks amazing. So I'm going to put it up here above Sobble, but below Rabifoot. I think that's a solid spot for it there on the list. Next up, then, we have Sinistea and Poltegeist. Poltegeist? I apologize if I'm saying the name wrong. Sinistea and Poltegeist, like, these are fine. B-tier mons. I don't really got much to say about these things. So, honestly, surprised they weren't in that horror game that scared me. They would fit perfectly. You know, in the horror game, there was the table that had the all the cups and stuff on it. They could have easily added Sinistea. That would have been perfect. Or actually, I don't know when that game was made, actually. It might have been made... No way it was made before Sword and Shield, actually, right? Whatever. We'll put them there in B tier. Solid spot for them again. B tier is above average. C tier is average. So B tier is a solid spot for them, I think. Then these one, Hatenna, Hatterene, Hatrini, like, I mean, C tier. I got no reason to like these things. I'm going to put them, like, they remind me of Cotton Candy. So they've got that going for them. I like Bolt Hound a little bit better because I like dogs, and Bolt Hound's a dog. So I'll put them below Bolt Hound, but, like, it is what it is. I'll leave them right there. They're average. I got no reason to like them, but at the same time, I have no reason to dislike them. So that's where they're going to go on the list right here. Next up, we have Grimmsnarl's line. Impid, Morgem, and Grimmsnarl. Now, Grimmsnarl is awesome. Grimmsnarl is... I don't know if Grimmsnarl is S tier. I'll put it A tier, though, above Dreadnought. You know what? I'll put it above... Yeah, actually, let's put it right there. Not below Cinder DA. So let's put it above Rillaboom, below Cinderace, at the top of A tier right there. Solid spot for Grimmsnarl. But then the other ones, these ones are kind of ugly, are they not? Like, I'll put them at the bottom of B tier. Like, I don't really like these things. Only thing is, they were in that forest, the fairy forest a bit, so I do like them a little bit because of that, but for the most part, like, I'm not the biggest fan of these things. I'm just not the biggest fan of those two right there. But I will note, I did pull a shiny Grimmsnarl. There was, Shiny Star V was the Japanese set of, Shining Fates, and me and my brothers each opened a booster box. In each booster box, you were guaranteed one full art shiny, and I got VMAX Grimmsnarl, so I was hyped about that, but, that's one of the reasons why I like Grimmsnarl, but again, the other ones I have no reason to really like. Yo, Lizardman, thank you for tuning as well. Marcus, it's so cool they made a Fairymon not look cute. Exactly, dude. Honestly, that's one of the coolest parts about it. Like, all the Fairymons are, like, super cute, sweet, little kind Pokemon. Then Grimmsnarl just looks nasty and mean, and I love it because of that. But then the other ones had that mean look as well, but, like, maybe they look like stick figures to me. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because they look like stick figures. I don't really like them too much. But you know what I do really like? I love this line right here. Galarian Zigzagoon, Galarian Linoon, and Obstagoon. These three right here, I mean, I'll just tell you guys, they're all S tier. They're all S tier Pokemon, literally just because of how they look. Just because of how they look, I'm putting them up here in S tier. I absolutely love how these things look. They look amazing, and the shinies on them are even better. The shinies are absolutely phenomenal. They look so good. They turn to red, white, and blue, and then the black and white normally with them, oh my god. They are absolutely amazing. Putting them up there. Literally, I have nothing else to say besides they look amazing. Next up, then, we have Berserker and Galarian Meowth. Now, I've always liked these ones as well. Honestly, there's a lot of regional forms I don't like too much. These two are two that I do really like, though. Galarian Meowth, I'll put up in A tier, and then Berserker, I'll put up a little high in A tier. I'll put it below Applin, above Grookey. I do like these. The shiny is kind of a subtle shiny, but I do like how they look a little bit, so I'll put them up there in A tier. I think that's a good spot for them right there. Moving on next, we have Galarian Corsola, and then Cursula. Had to make sure I get the names right. Galarian Corsola and then Cursula. Now, these two Pokemon right here, I'm going to put them in A tier. And I'm going to explain why I put them in A tier. Now, Corsola is based on coral. The coral reefs, which are unfortunately dying. Very bad, very sad. Don't like to see that. And these Pokemon are based on the dead coral reefs. Now, are the dead coral reefs cool? No, not at all. But is it cool how they made this Pokemon design, seeing that Corsola was once the Coralmon, now they made the dead version of it, representing the coral, which is unfortunately dying in real life. I think that concept of the Pokemon and what caused them to create this thing, the idea behind it, I think that's cool how they did that. Again, do I think the coral reefs dying is cool? No, not at all. I want to make that abundantly clear. So when I say I think these Pokemon are really cool because of the concept behind them, we went from seeing Corsola being the live coral to Corsola being the dead coral, the actual inspiration behind that, no, that's bad. That's not good whatsoever. But the actual Pokemon themselves, I think it's kind of cool they did that transition in Pokemon. I do like that. I do think that's cool. And you know what? We have Corsola and Cursola. Do you think we'll ever get a normal version of Cursola? Do you think they'll ever give a normal coral Cursola? Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll get that thing. That'd honestly be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. But moving on now. Oh my god, we got one of my favorites. Next up, we have one of my absolute favorites. These guys are, I'm telling you right now, S tier. These guys are going S tier. We have Galarian Farfetch'd and the Leek Lord himself, Sirfetch'd. These two are the top two on the list right now. I'm telling you right now. I love these two so much. I could explain from days on end why I have these things so high up. We have, first of all, Galarian Farfetch'd. This thing is a dog. It's walking around with this big, massive leak, beating the piss out of people with it. How we saw Ash get in the anime with it being like the fighting, it wanted to just fight and all that stuff. I thought that was really cool how we got that thing. And also, too, in the anime, there was the fight with a girder. A girder is a steel beam that girder holds. It's, for those that don't know, girder is named girder because it's holding the girder. Conkeldurr is named Conkeldurr because it has the Conkeldurrs. And then timber is named timber because it's holding a piece of timber. The girder has a girder, a steel beam. And Ash's Farfetch'd broke the steel beam with a leek. I can go to the grocery store right now and buy a leek. A leek's a vegetable. And he broke a steel beam with it. That's aura right there. That is insane. And then Sirfetch'd. I love Sirfetch'd. Its shiny is amazing. It looks absolutely phenomenal. It's all gold. And this Pokemon right here, it's just emitting aura. It has a sword and a shield. It's from Sword and Shield. I love this thing so much. The Leek Lord, Sirfetch'd, is one of legit my favorite Pokemon of all. You know, Sirfetch'd is going in God tier. Sirfetch'd is going God tier. I'm putting Sirfetch'd up in God tier. It's literally, as I'm saying, like, Sirfetch'd is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I'm like, that's true. It is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. So why wouldn't it be up in God tier? Sirfetch'd, get up there in God tier. You're legit. You're amazing. I love you, Sirfetch'd. The duck with the leek that can take on anything. It was on Ash's World Champ team as well. It was one of the Mons on Ash's World Championship team. Get the Leek Lord up there in God tier. Get it up there in God tier, no question about it. Then this next one right here. We have Galarian Mr. Mime and then Mr. Rhyme. Now, Leon had the Mr. Rhyme on his team. Mr. Mime, I've never been the biggest fan of. I was mentioning yesterday, Mr. Mime kind of creeps me out. It looks kind of weird. Why do its shoes curl like that? But Galarian Mr. Mime, they added the ice typing to it. And I think it's fine. Like, I got no reason to think, I'm not going to put it up in A tier, because I'm not like, oh, this is one of the coolest Pokemon I've seen. But, like, I don't want to put it, it's not, I don't think it's average. I do think it's above average. It's a cool design. I love the regional stuff. I do like all regional Pokemon for the most part. Like, I think it's cool that they're taking old designs that we maybe liked or didn't like and change them up and give us something new with them. So I do like that aspect of it. So I'll put them in B tier. We'll put it above, let's put it above Eldegoss. Now above Sandaconda. You know what? Should we put him at the top of B tier? Let's put him at the top of B tier. Mr. Rhyme and Galarian Mr. Mime at the top of B tier. Good spot for him. Next up, we have Runerigus. Now, wait, where's Galarian Yamask? Is that on here too, or did I rank that already? Is Galarian Yamask not on here? Oh, there it is. There it is. Found it. Let's do these two side by side. Let's do them side by side. So, Galarian Yamask and Runerigus. Now, Yamask and Cofagrigus, I'm not the biggest fan of. I like Ancient Egypt. I like all that stuff. As Pokemon, I always thought they looked kind of goofy, if I'm being completely honest. But these two, I like significantly better than normal Yamask and Cofagrigus. I'm going to put them up in A tier. Do I put them above Cursula and Corsola, though? I'm going to put, you know what, let's put Runerigus up a little bit. Let's put it up there. Let's put it towards the top of A tier. I do really like Runerigus because when it comes together, it's like the stone tablet thing and it's got the serpent on it. I think that looks really cool. So let's put it up in A tier. And then Galarian Yamask we'll put down there at the bottom of A tier with Galarian Corsola, the other regional Pokemon. Next one up, Alcremie, Milcree, and they have the G-Max there. We're not going to do that one. Like I said, we're not doing the G-Maxes right now. Maybe for a later stream, we'll do just the G-Max ones, but not right now. So starting off, we have Milcree. Now, these Pokemon are like, it's based on cream, right? It's just based on cream. Now, I mean, for a dessert, we did the food tier list Pokemon, and I had them pretty high up. They're pretty good. But as just normal Pokemon, I'll put them down here. I think bottom of B tier is fine for them. Alcremie, I do like the colors on it. I like how they can have the different berries and that type of stuff. I think that aspect of it is cool. But for the most part, like, I've got no really any real reason to like them too much. So we'll put them in B tier. I feel like that's a lot of the Galar Pokemon, being honest. I'm kind of impartial to them. Like, I have no reason to dislike them, but at the same time, no reason to really like them. One I don't like, though, is Phalanx. This thing's stupid. Get down there. Phalanx, you're going... Is Phalanx F tier? Nah, I'll put it at the bottom of D tier. I don't like Phalanx. I think it's dumb. All the things together. On Pokemon Go, they are absolutely massive. When these stupid things spawn in, they take up half the screen. I hate battling against them in Pokemon Unite. I've never used it in Pokemon Unite. I don't even understand what it does. I just straight up don't like it. Phalanx is a dumb Pokemon. I don't really like it too much. This one next, Pincurchin. I always would mistake this as being a Alola Pokemon, actually, because you think Alola is the water and like the water type stuff, and so I think it would fit perfectly there for like the ocean and that type of thing. But we got it in Galar, and like, I don't know, it's fine. I think it looks cool. I like the colors, the purple and the yellow on it. I think it's cool. Kind of reminds me of Toxtricity up here with the yellow and the purple. But I'll put it down there at the bottom. Should we put it higher in B tier? I'll put it up a little bit in B tier. Let's put it above. Let's put it up there in B tier, just behind Wooloo. Just behind Wooloo. Next up, we have a fan favorite. We have a fan favorite that legit has a cult following. Snom. Now, I think if I put Snom any lower than God tier, people are going to be mad. But I will note, I'm not going to put it in God tier. We'll put Snom up in S tier right there. We'll put it below Galarian Zigzagoon and above Galarian Linoon. I like Snom. Snom's a solid Pokemon. I don't know why everyone loves it, if I'm being honest. It's like a meme that's not a meme because everyone genuinely seems to love and like this thing. So I'll put it in S tier. I like it. It's a cool design. It's a solid Pokemon. Snom's going up there in S tier for sure, no doubt about it. Then it's Evolution Frostmoth. Now Frostmoth is one like, it reminds me of Venonat. Venomoth. I knew I was gonna get the name wrong. Venomoth. The thing we were trying to catch in Pokemon that took forever to find. Venomoth. That's what it reminds me of. Frostmoth. And if I'm being honest, it looks like a real moth. It's got that like creepy look. Cause you ever see moths? They just look a little creepy. And it does remind me of that in a way. I'll put it in B tier. We'll put a B tier right here. I think that's a solid spot for it. We'll put it in B tier. Right there's a good spot for Frostmoth again. Shout out Snom up there in S tier, and then Frostmoth will go down in B. Then Stoneger, like, it's based from Stonehenge, right? Stonehenge, like that's why it looks like this. I don't know. It's kind of I'll put it in C tier. Again, C tier's average. C tier is average. I used it once, I remember, in Showdown, and I won a game with it. It was like absolutely cracked for like one battle for me, and I was never able to do good with it again. But I'll put it in C tier. It's average. It's just a rock. It's literally just a rock with eyes. Like, there's not much to it. But then we have Eskew. I like Eskew. I will note the other form it has when it loses the Ice Cube head, it does look a little goofy. But just straight up Eskew, I'll put it above Rabifoot. Let's put it above Rabifoot, below Inteleon. I pulled the Eskew, the EX version of Eskew in in a it was the obsidian flames in the flames, the fire opening we did, literally the opening we did in the fire. We were in fire opening up the packs, and we pulled the Terra Fire EX Askew. I will always love Askew because of that. That was perfect. So Askew's going up in that tier. And actually, we didn't just pull the normal EX, we pulled the full art EX of it as well. That was awesome. And I'll always love Askew, like I said, because it's part of that legendary opening that I had. Next up, we have Indeedee. Now, the difference here is male and female, right? Yeah. Females, this one with the ears, I mean, these are D tier. These suck. These might even be S tier. I mean, F tier, sorry, not S tier. They are far from S tier. They're the opposite of S tier, down in D tier here. I mean, I'm putting them at the bottom of D tier. They're the trick room setters. That's about all they are. This one, though, I like this one. This next one we have right here, Morpeko. There's one reason why I like Morpeko as much as I do. There's an episode in Journeys where there's a food eating contest. I think it was a berry eating contest. You see all the big fat so Pokemon pulling up, and Team Rocket had a Morpeko. In the scene of this thing devouring all the food was hilarious. I loved it. I'm going to put it at the bottom of S tier. For the evil one. The normal one, I'll put in A tier. The normal one will put in A tier. Or at the bottom of A tier. Because it was in like that evil mean form when it was eating all the food. And I've always loved it because of that. Actually, you know what? Linoon, I don't like you as much. Let's drop Linoon down. Let's drop Linoon down there below Morpeko. I like Zigzagoon way better than Linoon, so let's put it up there than the crazy Morpeko that was eating the food. Let's put it up there in S tier. Solid spot for Morpeko. Shout out to Team Rocket's Morpeko. Next up, we have Cufant and Cooperajah. Now, these two right here, like Cufant's fine. Cooperajah I like. And I'm going to explain why I like it. Cufant we'll put Cufant to the bottom of A tier. Then Cooperajah, I'm going to put towards the top of A tier. Let's put it up there above Dreadnought, below Rillaboom. Now, Cufant I really like because Rose had one, and I thought that aspect was cool. And because like, it was intimidating with him, like, in the game. Like, he had the massive Cooperajah. Like, I thought that was really cool. But then just straight up Cooperajah, it's based on an elephant. Obviously, I love Donphan. Donphan's based on an elephant as well. We have Shiny Only Fan in Pokemon or Poke MMO. First Shiny we ever got. And it's not that big, though. Like, Donphan isn't really a big Pokemon. You look at it next to Ash, and it looks small. It's like up to Ash's waist. And elephants, though, are massive animals. And so to get Cooperajah as the massive elephant, I thought that was really cool. But one really cool thing I like about Cooperajah is that its Dex entry says it's from a different region. It says it doesn't originate in Galar. And so I hope one day we get the region Cooperajah's from, and we get like a reverse regional. So it's like the actual like original Cooperajah, and then this one's like the Galarian Cooperajah. Even though it's not called Galarian Cooperajah, because it's just normal Cooperajah, if we don't have the normal Cooperajah, it says it's from a different region. So I like it because of that aspect. That's one of the reasons why I like Melmetal so much too. It says it's from a different region. Will we ever learn what regions they're from? I mean, honestly, probably not, but like, hopefully one day we will. Or you know what? I say probably not. Probably eventually we will. Anytime soon? Probably not. If I'm being honest, probably not. Unless they give us something crazy with some cool, region coming up sometime soon. I don't expect that anytime soon, though. But these next ones here, oh my god. I've did this for the fossil tier list. These suck. All of these suck. All of these suck. All the Galar fossils suck. I don't care what anyone says. People say, Dracovish is the best! Nope, they suck. They all suck. They all suck. All of them. Every single one of them. F tier. F tier. F tier. And then Dracovish we make an exception for because it was on Ash's team. I will put it up in A tier. I'll put it top of A tier. I am not putting it in S tier, though. I am not putting it in S tier. We are putting it at the top of A tier because it is cracked in battling, so I like it because of that. You know what? I'll put it in S tier. Who am I kidding? Let's put Dracovish. It was on Ash's team. We have to respect the Pokemon Ash had. Ash's Galar, actually, the only, like, true Galar Pokemon he had. Because you think, again, yes, Sirfetch'd is only Sirfetch'd and Galar, but, like, it was evolved from Galarian Farfetch'd, the regional. The only like pure Galar Pokemon he really had. So I'll put it at the bottom of S tier. It's going to, I do like it better than that Morpeko. I'll put it below Snom in S tier. We'll put it there. The rest of the fossils, though, suck. Why do they suck? They're mismatched. They're supposed to be like it's literally the guy in the anime explained it. They have them all put together wrong, I'm pretty sure. Right? Like they're not meant like you look at the heads and stuff, like look at Dracozolt. Now I will note Dracozolt has the potential to be the coolest one. But its head's on the wrong body, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's all messed up and wrong. Like it has the potential to be the coolest one. Like I don't know whose head's supposed to be where. Is Dracovish's head supposed to be on Dracozolt? I think so, right? Because the Draco Vish and Dracozolt, I think the heads are supposed to be flipped on that. If that was the case, honestly, they would look much better. But it's not. It's the wrong way. So literally because of that, like I think the concept again is cool because it relates to something that happens in real life. They're fossil Pokemon. How do we find fossils? From bones. Are there times when the archaeologist people mix up the bones and put together a fake thing that never existed in real life, and they just assumed this is how it was when in actuality it's not how it was meant to be? Yes. So I think because they have Marcus, you said it perfectly. I think it's based on how archaeologists in real life are not really sure if the fossils are put together right. Exactly. The concept is cool. I like, you know what? I'll put him in D tier because of that. I'll put him in the top of D tier because of that. That concept alone I think is cool. Because I love when they do stuff like that, man. Like they relate it to real life type stuff like that. I think that that is really cool. I think that's really cool how they do that. But I mean, they could have made it to where it would look cooler than what it normally would have been. Instead, they made it look literally the worst designs possible. I should dump them down to F tier, but literally because it's based on that real life concept, I'll put them in D tier. If it wasn't for that, if it was design alone, every single one of them would be, honestly, probably disgusting tier, if I'm being honest. Dracovish is up there again. Gotta respect Dracovish. Ash had one on his team that won the world championship, so we gotta put it up there. And that thing is, I will note, a absolute demon in Showdown and in just battling in general. But yeah, I mean, they could have made it so the fossils were mismatched and look like the craziest, coolest fossil designs we could have ever gotten. But like they could have done it. They did like the fish concept here. They could have gave us some raptor bird with a fish head. Like imagine like Staraptor's body with Barraskewda's face. They could have done some crazy thing like that. They gave us a stupid, ice cube with a runny nose. Like, I'm sorry. Like those things are whack. Those things are whack. You know what isn't whack, though? But a lot of people think it is? Duraludon. People hate on this thing so much. It's a fridge. It's a skyscraper. It's got a dump truck in the back. But I love Duraludon. Duraludon, for me, is going the top of S tier. This thing is, I don't know why. I have always loved it. Legit, one of my favorite Pokemon from Galar from the jump. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, this thing is sick. I love this thing right here. I used it on my team in Showdown that I would play a ton of Gen 8 OU with. I used it on my playthrough team in Sword and Shield. The moveset I had on it, I believe was Dragon Pulse, Earth Power, Thunderbolt, and Thunder Wave, if I'm not mistaken. This thing was pretty tanky as well, and it was really good. I found great success using it just as Duraludon. I have yet to use it with the Eviolite thing or whatever it's called that boosts its stats now that has an evolution. So it could be even better now than what it was before. When it first came out in Unite, this thing was a absolute demon. I broke every record I had. I was 45 in the world. I was ranked 45th in the world with Decidueye in Pokemon Unite. Every record I had, most kills, most assists, most damage done in a game, I shattered with Duraludon when it first came out in Pokemon Unite. That thing was absolutely insane, and then they nerfed it into the ground and gave it a Giga nerf, and that thing will never be usable again in Unite. I will note I have seen some people starting to use it a bit more, but it'll never be what it once was in Unite. And Duraludon, for me, has always been a Pokemon I absolutely loved. S tier for sure. I'm borderline put it in God tier, but I do like the Leek Lord better than Duraludon, and I'm saving one other Pokemon to put up there. At least one other Pokemon I have in my head right now to put up in God tier, and I do like that other Pokemon better than... You know what? I'm putting it in God tier. You know what? Let's put it in God tier. Let's put it in God tier. Why am I putting it in God tier? Because so many people hate it. For me alone, top of S tier Pokemon, no doubt about it. But so many people hate on Duraludon, and I love Duraludon. I'm putting it up in God tier. Shout out to Duraludon, making it all the way up there to the top. Next up, we have Dreepy, Dracolock, and Dragapult. Everyone says I always say the first one wrong. Dreepy, I think's the name. Dracolock, and then we'll save Dragapult there. These ones are cool. The pseudo-legendary of Galar. I love pseudo-legendaries. You guys know pseudo-legendaries are quite literally my favorite Pokemon there are. Pseudo-legendaries are the absolute best. No doubt about it, these are all S tier. They're all S tier. I love the concept of it, where there's literally just a Dreepy on top of the Dracolock. Like, I think that's really cool. I think they're awesome. Where in S tier are they gonna go? Let's put Dreepy. I don't like them better than the starters. I like them better than Snom, though. So let's put them right there. Let's put them right above Snom and Galarian Zigzagoon. Let's put them there. Let's do that for those. But then this last one, Dragapult. Dragapult is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I'm just going to tell you guys right now. I was reluctant to put the Leek Lord and Duraludon up there in God tier because I knew Dragapult was going to be going in God tier. Dragapult is going to the top of God tier. I'm telling you right now, this is my favorite Pokemon from Galar. This is my favorite Pokemon from Galar, no doubt about it. For a multitude of reasons. Literally, this is a perfect Pokemon. No. We gotta make a different category. When we do these tier lists, I gotta set aside in my head or write down or something like that. There's certain Pokemon we have gone through doing these tier lists. There's certain Pokemon we have seen going through all the different regions of all the different gens of all the different Pokemon. There's only a handful, though, that we've ever seen that I look at and go, that is a perfect Pokemon. Snorlax, that is an instance of a Pokemon that I think is absolutely perfect. Dragapult is another one. I think Dragapult is perfect. Why? It is a ghost dragon type. I love dragons. Ghosts are awesome too. Combine the two together, we have a awesome typing I've never seen before. I know people always talk about, like, for competitive reasons. It just looks cool saying Dragon Ghost next to it. It looks amazing. It is fast AF. Insanely fast. Insane. Making it an absolute monstrosity in battling. Actual competitive Pokemon as well. If I'm not mistaken, it just won Worlds. It won Worlds 2023, right? If I'm not mistaken. This thing it's so much fun to use. If you've never battled before in, like, Pokemon, and if you want to do, like, a singles battle, go on Showdown, make a team, add Dragapult on your team, and you will do good. It's harder to do bad unless you do Dragon Darts against a Fairy type. You will do good with this thing. Dragapult is a monster and will elevate any team to a different level. And speaking of Dragon Darts as well, that move. The move, Dragon Darts, unique to Dragapult. And why is it unique to Dragapult? Because it shoots the Dreepies out of its head at the opposing Pokemon. Like, come on now, dude. It's insane. It's super fast, high physical attack. Dragon Darts is a physical attack that launches the Dreepies at it. And then also, too, it's got the Dreepies cocked, locked, and loaded in its head. Like, dude, that's insane. It is so cool. It's shiny as well. Amazing also. And you have to think, again, in the grand scheme of things, is this shiny one of the best? No. But compared to the other pseudo-legendaries, when most pseudo-legendary shinies are big, stinky booty cheeks, shiny Dragapult is pretty cool. Give me 1 second. I gotta reach. There we go. Look, right here. I have on my shelf right here the Shining Fates Shiny Dragapult VMAX box. Dude, Dragapult's one of my favorite Pokemon ever. This thing right here is so sick. And also, too, Dragapult, again, we were talking about, like, real-life animals Pokemon are based on, and when they're based on things from real life, it's based on a giant salamander. Now, a giant salamander is not native to London or England whatsoever. It's native to Japan. And the concept with it is, like, these things are, like, super rare. They're, like, extremely protected, but they look insane. Shout out Jeremy Wade in River Monsters. I remember he did an episode one time looking for this thing, and he actually found one in the wild, if I'm not mistaken. And dude, I remember watching that episode so vividly of River Monsters. I'm like, that thing is insane. Then when I saw this and I saw it was based on that, it's the giant salamander. Like, dude, Dragapult. Like, as I'm explaining this, Dragapult's always been one of my favorite Pokemon. This legit might be top 6 favorite Pokemon for me as I'm explaining this more and more. The tail as well. It doesn't show it right here in the sprite that we have right here. But if you look at it in the games and stuff, like the tail actually begins to fade away. Like, see how the tail turns white on it right here? The actual tail like fades away because it's a ghost type and it disappears and you can't see it. Dragapult is a perfect Pokemon and without a shadow of a doubt, the absolute best Pokemon from Galar. It might go down as being one of the best pseudos of all time. We did the pseudo tier list a little while ago, which is, again, actually the most viewed stream ever on my channel. But in that, I ranked Dragapult high, but I didn't put it as number 1. And I think I said that Dragapult is so new, and we look back at some of the other pseudos, Salamis, Dragonite, T-Tar, Metagross. We have so much nostalgia for those. I'm like, Dragapult's going to be one of the Pokemon in the future we look back on. People are going to say, oh, it's because of nostalgia you like this thing so much. But it's like, you think back to now, it's like, no. We've been liking this thing from the jump, so the nostalgia factor of it is just going to make people like this thing even more, and it's going to cement Dragapult's legacy as being one of the absolute best Pokemon of all time. I love Dragapult. Top of God tier. Best Pokemon on this list. No doubt about it. Moving on now. Looks like all we have left is the legendaries and some regional forms as well. So first we have Zacian and Zamazenta, all with their different forms. Now I'm just going to put them all, they're not going in C tier by the way. I'm going to put them all at the same spot. Now these legendaries, can I move, wait, whoa. Messing it up. Did I grab all 4 of them? I did grab all 4 of them, perfect. Now these guys are fine. Like, I'm going to put them in S tier. Let's put them at the top of S. I will, like, here's the thing with these. Design-wise alone, they're not necessarily my favorite, but I like how they go from the 2 different forms. I like the one form that's, like, kind of like the old, withered, like, beat up, like, not really super strong looking form of them. But then they get, like, the decked out armor one. I mean, Zacian has a sword in its mouth like it's Zoro. Like, dude, it's cool. I like them. I think they're solid legendaries. They're not my favorites. They're not my least favorite by any means. But, like, I'll put them A tier. I think top of A tier is a good spot for them. They're solid legendaries. One of them, they're Steel Fairy, they got cracked typings. And it's funny, too, Zacian was, like, insane during competitive Pokemon last generation during Sword and Shield, and everyone was like, Zamazenta is absolutely worthless. It'll never be good. And now, in current competitive Pokemon, Zacian really isn't anything, but Zamazenta is like one of the best Pokemon there is. So that aspect of it, too, is, I think, really cool. So I do really like those. Too. They're solid legendaries right there. Next up, we have, let's go through, before we do the rest of the legendaries, let's go do all the regional forms we have on here. Galarian, Slowpoke, and then is Slowking on here, too? Uh-oh. Are we missing one? I think we're missing Galarian Slowking. Yeah, we are, which is the one I like the most. Slowpoke, I mean, I'll put it in B. It's above average. It's just, I mean, bottom of B tier. It's above average. Galarian Slowpoke, it's fine. It just added a little bit of yellow. But then Slowbro, we'll put this one on behalf of Slowbro and Slowking, which is definitely A tier for me. I love Galarian Slowking. I think it's so cool. It's like, it's a sick Pokemon. I like it. I'm going to put these up here. Above Dreadnought and the Throat Goat Cramorant. Above Cooperajah, I think. And below Rillaboom. Again, that's for Galarian Slowbro and Slowking. So let's put it right there towards the top of A tier right there. I think that's a solid spot for it. Oh, this is stupid. I don't like these things for one reason. Galarian, Ponyta, and Rapidash. Now, these two right here, if you were to look at these Pokemon, what type would you guess? You know what? They got that furry, fuzzy fairy hair. They have horns like a unicorn. So you know what? I probably think they would be a fairy type. Wrong! They're psychic types. They're literally spawned in, like, their area in the game is... The area they have in the game is the fairy forest. And they're not fairy types. That fact alone, they're D tier. They're D tier because of the fact they're not fairy types. It's a unicorn. It's cool. It's not a fairy type, though. Nope, D tier. D tier. And also, too, because it made us lose MMO that one day. We lost MMO because I thought it was a fairy type and it was just a pure psychic type. Down there for sure. Down there for sure. Then we have Darmanitan. Or I should say Galarian Darumaka first, then Darmanitan. Galarian Darumaka's solid. I'll put it A tier above Kufant. I'll put it down there. And Linoon, I'm bumping Linoon further and further down. Galarian Darmanitan, I'll put it up here in A tier. I think it's cool. I do think it's a cool Pokemon. I will note, like, the giant snowball thing on its head is a little goofy, but it's fine. I think next to Double is a good spot for it. Next to Double in A tier, there's a good spot for it. Galarian Stunfisk, I hate this thing because I always have to go against it in Pokemon Go Battle League and Pokemon Go, and it sucks. It is cool, though, like the bear trap type thing. It's got the Pokeballs, the bait in front of it. It's got the footsteps on it as well. So because they, put it up a little bit higher in D tier, but I hate battling this thing in Go Battle League, so it's down in D tier because of that. Then we have no more of the regionals, right? I think that's all the regional forms. Next up, we just have the legendaries left. And again, we're not doing the Gigantamax forms. We will maybe do that for a separate stream. What we are doing... Oh, no, wait, no. Galarian Weezing. The smokestack thing, the outfit, the top hat. It looks pretty cool. I will note that. We'll put it in... I'll put it C tier. Bottom of C tier. Fine spot for it right there. And finally, we have the remaining legendary and mythical Pokemon from Galar. Now, with Galar, we have some good Pokemon. We have some good legendaries. But at the same time, we have some bad legendaries. I feel like there aren't really many average legendaries from Galar. There's either really cool ones or really bad ones. There really is no in the middle. I will note the birds. All 3 birds are S tier. All 3 birds are S tier for me. No doubt about that. I absolutely love these things. They're so cool. I love trying to get them in Pokemon Go with the daily incense. It is a absolute grind, but I love it because of that. It's so hard to catch them. I've only managed to catch, actually, I'm going to put Zapdos at the top. Moltres, you'll go below Inteleon, and Articuno, you'll go right below Obstagoon. You'll go down there. I have only managed to catch 2 of these things in Pokemon Go. I've managed to get Galarian Zapdos and Galarian Moltres. Moltres was the first one that I got. And I got Zapdos on the 4th of July. It might have been last summer. Was it last 4th of July? I posted it as a short, I remember. I think it was last 4th of July. I got Zapdos, and I have yet to get Articuno. I've seen countless of all of them. Most of them have ran away. I've only caught 2 of them. Again, the one Moltres and the one Zapdos, but... dude, I love them. I think they're so sick. Zapdos being the Roadrunner, dude, they're perfect. When I first saw those. And then the shinies as well. The shinies are the colors of the normal birds. Like, dude, elite Pokemon right there. Absolutely love those things. Then, let's do Zarude. Zarude's fine. Like, I feel like Zarude's a forgotten Pokemon. Yes, it got a movie, but, like, for the most part, I don't think a lot of people know of or about Zarude. I'm going to put it below Rillaboom. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's fine. It's shiny. I think sucks if I'm not mistaken, but it is what it is. I'll put it right there. Actually, what is Zarude's shiny? Shiny Zarude. Oh, no, you know what? The shiny's decent, actually. I take that back. The body turns, like, yellow. That is kind of cool. But, I mean, I haven't seen the movie as well. I will note that. I should watch that movie and then re-rank Zarude. But we'll put it right there in A tier for now. Then, next up, we have... let's do Kubfu. Kubfu's solid. I think it's a cool design. Urshifu, I mean, you have the 2 Urshifus. Now, I will note, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Urshifu. I think Urshifu looks cool. It's a cool design. The water fighting thing, it's really cool. And the other one's dark fighting, by the way. They're not both water, but I like the water one better. I will know that. I don't even know which is which, actually. I think the one standing on one foot is the water one, so I'll put that one in S tier. I'm going to put it at the bottom of S tier, though. Then the other 2, I'm going to put in A tier, and we'll put... I think it's single strike, right, Urshifu? Where should he go? That's a fine spot for it. Let's put it below Runerigus. Then Kubfu, you can go... below Choodle. Below Choodle, Kubfu, you can go there. Now, the Urshifus... I have a love-hate relationship with. Do they look cool? Yes. Did they have cool cards in the TCG with Battle Styles? Battle Styles is a hated-on set, but I love the Urshifu cards in it, so yes, they look really cool. Are they good in battling? Yes. Are they too good in battling. Yes. The Rapid Strike one, Surging Strikes. Every hit is a crit and it breaks through Protect. That I cannot stand. It makes me so mad. But honestly, that's the only thing I don't like about it. Everything else about them is amazing. I thought the towers were cool and the games and all that stuff. I thought it was all really cool. The only thing I don't like is because it beats the piss out of me every time I battle it with breaking through Protect and every hit being a crit. That's the only reason I don't like it. It'll go up there in S tier. I think that's a solid spot for it right there. And then moving on, we only have a couple left. We have, let's do, you know what? We'll end it on something good. Let's get these out of the way. Eternatus sucks. Eternatus is an awful Pokemon. I hate that thing. Literally, they're like, let's just max out the stats of every Pokemon, make the best, biggest, baddest, strongest Pokemon they'll ever be, and call it a day. And Eternatus, its design is pretty solid, but then it has the other one where it's the hand. Legit worst, might be worst legendary Pokemon of all time. You know what? Eternatus, I'll put in, Eternatus, I'll bump you up. I swear to God, if everything reset, thank God it saved all this stuff right there. Eternatus, I'll put Eternatus up in, you know what? Normal Eternatus, let's put an A. I'll bump normal Eternatus up to the bottom of A tier. I'll put it there. This one's so, I hate this one. This one is so stupid. Normal Eternatus does look cool. I will give it that. The colors on it are awesome. The aspect is just so broken, overpowered. I think that's stupid. I think that's dumb. I don't like that. If they were to do a Pokemon like that, that should be Arceus. Arceus, the god of Pokemon, should be the most broken Pokemon there is. Maybe if they give Beta Arceus, the true form of Arceus, as a real Pokemon, maybe one day they'll do that, but Eternatus I've always hated. I've never liked it. I've always thought it was stupid. But you know one thing I hate even more? Just, what is this? Calyrex? This right here might be the worst Pokemon design of all time. Actually, you know what? People ask me what's my least favorite Pokemon. My answer is Calyrex. My least favorite Pokemon is Calyrex. I have just discovered that via this tier list. Calyrex is my least favorite Pokemon. The ones on the horse are fine. What the actual heck is this thing right here? No. Nope. Those suck. These things, though, Glastrier and Spectrier, these things are sick. These things are cool. The Ice Horse, Glastrier or whatever, I'm probably saying the name wrong. I'll put it up here in A tier. I'll put it below Runerigus. Let's put it below Runerigus. Then Spectrier, I'm going to put it Spectrier. Spectrier. I'm going to put it at the bottom of S tier because it's a ghost horse, and one of the coolest parts of it, its hooves. Its hooves are separated from the leg. Say my arm right here is the leg, and then this is the hoof. It's not together like this. It's separate, and it's like floating. I think that alone put it up in S tier for me. Would have been A tier with Glastrier, but because of the hooves alone, it got put up in S tier for me. That's why I put it up there. And now to end it on a good note. Now to end it on some amazing Pokemon. Regieleki and Regidrago. I mentioned earlier, I like Pokemon that are fast. That's why we put Barraskewda as high on the list as we did, just simply because it's fast. Well, what's the fastest Pokemon there is? Regieleki. Regieleki is literally just electricity. Unless they make a Pokemon that is pure light, there will never be anything faster than this thing because it can move at, essentially, the speed of light, you would assume, because it's pretty much just electricity. So that thing is insane. I'm going to put it up here. Do I like it better than Galarian Zapdos? I don't think so. I'll put it below Galarian Zapdos towards the top of S tier there. Then the final Pokemon for the list, right? None of these other ones are, they're all Gigantamax forms. Yeah. Okay, so for the final Pokemon of the list, we have Regidrago. Now, I have mixed opinions about this. Regidrago, I think, is the biggest miss Pokemon's ever had, but I will note I do kind of like it, so we'll put it there in S tier above, towards the bottom of S tier, above, Spectrier. I will put it right there. What about Regitube? If Regitube was on the tier list, Regitube would be the top of S tier. Shout out Regitube. Regitube is awesome. But for Regidrago, Regidrago's the biggest miss they've ever had. Why? The body is the skull of a Charizard. Is Charizard a dragon? It looks like a dragon, but is it a dragon type? No. Mega Charizard X is. So could you say it's a skull of a Mega Charizard X? Yeah, sure. But like, if a Mega Charizard X dies, it's not going to die as a Mega Charizard X. It turns back to Charizard. So it's a Charizard skull. Charizard isn't a dragon. Does it look like a dragon? Yes, we can all agree Charizard looks like a dragon. But it is not a dragon. One of the things during Sword and Shield people hated about Charizard is because they shoved Charizard down our throats nonstop. Now, do I think it was fitting for Leon to have a Charizard? Yes, absolutely. Because Leon had a Charizard, he had to have it. Leon's the champion of the region. Obviously, he's going to have his own special Gigantamax form. People hate on it because of all that stuff. I thought it was fitting because of Ash's final journey, with the final battle coming out of Leon with his ace Pokemon. The big champion. Leon's the undefeated champion of the world, and they gave him a Charizard. I thought that was perfect. You guys know Leon I put as the #1 champion out of all the Pokemon games. For like the, not in battling in the game, Cynthia's the best for actually battling them. But like for the lore-wise, Leon was #1 on the champion tier list. Actually, it was just below Red, but Leon was up there with Red at the very top. So, him having that Charizard there was good. This was over the top with the Charizard. Just like the Charizard UPC box, Ultra Premium Collection box, this was too much. We didn't need it to have the Charizard skull. You know what it should have had? One side, give it a Dragonite skull. The other side, give it a Salamence skull. Or a Garchomp skull. Like how right now it's the top of Charizard and the bottom of Charizard making the mouth. They should have done it to where it's the one side is the top of a Dragonite and the other side's the top of something like a Salamence. You know how sick that would have been? They picked just, okay, what are the two of the coolest dragon types we have? Let's use those to make the skull. Why does it have to be a Charizard? Like, that honestly just, again, it still looks cool. I love Charizard. It looks cool. I like it. I put it in S tier. There's a way to use it in battling where it's really good. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what it was, but it has a ton of HP, and because that, it's able to be really good. Because I think it does that one move that does damage based on its HP. That the move's exclusive to Drago or to Regidrago, whatever it is. But you get what I mean. It can be good. It has some cool strategy around it, so I like it because of that. And also, it just straight up looks cool. There's a really cool card of it in like the ruins and that type of stuff of the Alt-Art from the TCG. That was really cool, but I just think this was such a big miss right here. They could have made Regidrago so much cooler if they made the skull other dragons. But on the other note, Regieleki is amazing. I absolutely love Regieleki. And that looks like it'll be all for the Galar tier list we have right here. We'll run through it here real quick before the very end. Downing disgusting tier here. I don't even want to mention it. Those Pokemon are all gross. F tier, Appleton and Flapple. I mean, I don't want my Pokemon to look like my food or the scraps of my food. That's why they're down there in F tier. D tier, just a whole bunch of Pokemon, like I said, are just below average, disappointing. The concept with those fossils are cool. They could have made them look cool, though. They didn't have to make them look absolutely stupid. C tier, just a bunch of average Pokemon. Got nothing against them, but I also have no reason to really like them. B tier, bunch of Pokemon I kind of like. I think they're above average. Again, Sandaconda I think would be way better if it was way bigger. It would be definitely up in A tier if it was bigger, maybe even S tier, but it's just simply too small. Then in A tier, we got some solid Pokemon in A tier. The pre-evolution to Grapplock, the Octopus thing. We have Cinderace, you have Rillaboom, so Rude's up there, Galarian Slowbro, and then again, Galarian Slowking would be there as well. The legendaries, Cramorant, whole bunch of solid Pokemon up there, like all those Pokemon in A tier. S tier, some star-studded S tier Pokemon. You have all the Galarian birds, Regidrago, Regieleki, the other two starters, Dreepy and Dracolock, Galarian Zigzagoon, shout out Snom, Eskew, and Teleon. You have Corviknight and then Toxtricity. Solid Pokemon up there. Rabifood and Grapplock as well. Amazing Pokemon up there in S tier. But then in God tier at the very top, we have some of my favorite Pokemon of some of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Duraludon. Everyone hates on Duraludon. I love Duraludon. I think it's absolutely amazing. The Leek Lord, Surfetched. Shiny is awesome. Ash had one on his ultimate team. And then Dragapult. Legit one of the best Pokemon of all time. And that'll be all for the Galar tier list.